So, Isaac.
Yes, Brian?
We have a treat today.
What kind of treat? Ice cream?
Better than ice cream.
Oh, okay.
We're going to have a truly expensive bottle of wine today.
Oh.
I think it's time we share this with our viewers.
Well, Brian, what do you mean by expensive? I'm self-employed, so everything's expensive.
Everything is expensive for me too. But I'm going to share a tip with you guys today on how to enjoy a $300 bottle of wine cheaply.
Ooh.
Stay tuned. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Brian's Table. I am Brian Singh.
And I'm Isaac Bignell from Say Cheese.
And today we got a real treat. We are going to enjoy a growth Bordeaux.
You know what, honestly, Brian, I'm not even listening. I'm just waiting to try this wine. I'm so excited. I never had one. So.
I know, honestly, that's all he could think about ever since we got here.
Yeah, he texted me last week, and I was just like, oh.
All right, but let's get into the first thing that we said that we're going to share with viewers. All right, how to enjoy a $300 bottle of wine. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it takes patience. It really means having to go and figure out in advance what you could buy now for $30 to let's say $80, and knowing that it will age in 15 years to the value of $300. And that is one of the things that we're hoping that we can do with you, right? You know, it's like we all have our little strategy, but look, most wine is meant to be drunk now.
Yes.
Right? You know, the vast majority of it. But every once in a while, you encounter wines that you sit back and think, I gotta pass the marshmallow test. Yes, the famous marshmallow test of, if you're given 2 marshmallows, or if you give a marshmallow and told to wait, you get an extra marshmallow, but if you eat it, you don't.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that actually has been dispelled, to be quite honest. But one of the things that if you do have a good quality of wine, you do want to wait for it.
Do you want, if anyone needs help with that as well, anything I buy to cellar, I buy 2. One to drink now and one to drink then.
Which is actually a really good strategy, right? So anytime you're going to be buying that super premium bottle of wine, honestly, buy an extra bottle.
Yeah,
right?
You'll thank yourself. You'll be like, that's amazing. Can't wait for 10 years.
All right. So what do we have in store for you today? Well, we have a 5th growth, and it's going to be the 2009 Château Lynch Bages. And it's a Pauillac from the left bank of Bordeaux. All right, so this one, I will let you know that we went on Vivino and we saw the 2017 for $280.
Yeah.
But this is a 2009. So it's most probably worth more than that. And
we've confirmed it's not vinegar, so it is worth more than that.
It is worth more than that.
Yeah.
But the other way, and this is another tip that I want to encourage people to do on how to buy expensive bottles of wine cheaply. Look at a good wine store and see if they have futures, right? So where we live in Calgary, we have a number of liquor stores that offer Bordeaux futures. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to sell a stock of Bordeaux wine in advance so as to pay for that particular vintage.
Yes.
And not that it's a pyramid scheme or anything like that, but what you are able to do through a future is you buy the promise of getting that particular vintage of wine when it is available, right? And I put some links below, explain how you buy futures. It's a really handy way. Most of the times, if you are going to get something that may be typically about $200, you may be able to get it for about $100 on a future. So it takes a lot of faith.
Yes.
It takes a lot of money, right? But I will also say that I was very lucky. I completely forgot about, I know, this is the snootiest, shittiest thing to say, I know. But who forgets they have a case of Château Lynch Bages in their cellar?
09, yeah. Just 09.
09, right? So I literally, my business was doing very well then. The Canadian dollar was ridiculously high. Being an economist in a previous life, I realized I'm not going to see this again. So I just said I'm going to be putting some money into Bordeaux futures and hoping that when I'm in my 60s, which I'm still not there yet at the time of filming, that I will be enjoying $300 bottles of wine, right? So the goal was in place. But you know, the one thing that's very odd is that as I age, I do not crave the food that goes with this wine. This is the sort of wine you'd have with big meat.
Oh yeah.
Big cheese, cream sauces, Bordeaux sauce, Chateaubriand, you know, all the stuff that invokes heart attacks. Delicious food, delicious fatty food. This is what this is meant to go with. I don't eat like that anymore. But, so, if you are going to do this, a word of advice, Isaac, you're a young man, buy it now. If you can't afford, actually, maybe put aside some of your savings to get a case. And knowing that when you hit your 50s, you can enjoy it before getting on later in your 50s when you can't eat this food.
Well, if I buy it now.
I know. Look, you know what? This is one of the keys to when you are enjoying wine. You have to think about how to enjoy wine over a long period of time. Right? Let me give a few notes on this, and then we get on to having a check out the nose and the taste. So Lynch Bages, it is a fifth growth, and how do they define the growths? The 1855 classification of Bordeaux. I know we always joke about this, and the one thing about that wine classification, it was instilled by Napoleon, because Napoleon Bonaparte. What?
Napoleon III.
Three, yes. Yeah. It wasn't Napoleon, yes.
Let's admit, not
the original Napoleon Bonaparte, Napoleon III.
The third iteration.
The third iteration.
Which they happen to skip the second.
Yeah, I know. Okay, the first one was not, he had some good and some bad, but by the time he was sent to St. Helena, they want to skip over number 2.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some historical reason for that. If you know what it is, let us know in the comments.
I do know it.
Why is that?
One of his nephews was deemed the successor, but just like for a few days, so he was technically Napoleon II, right after the fall.
Right.
And then they had a 40-year skip, went to the Third Republic.
Yeah.
He was elected president.
Right.
Performed a coup, and then installed himself as the Emperor Napoleon III.
That's okay.
So he was a nephew of Napoleon I.
Right, and it was for a global event. They were having the World Fair in Paris around that time.
1855, I think so.
Yeah, and so he wanted to show to the world the quality of French wines, right? So what did they do? They went and they found the most expensive wines, and then they labeled them as the first growth, right? Nothing about quality.
Yeah.
Nothing about quality. So there are some definite cons to this, and we have emphasizing con to what the Bordeaux classification system is. It is heavily left bank. So if you look at a map of Bordeaux, and there's going to be one up on the screen at some point, you have the estuary where the two rivers meet, and into the Dogon.
Dijon. Yeah.
The Gironde. And so if you're standing in the Gironde and your arms are to the left, that is the left bank, to the right bank. So there's a bias in the system for heavily Cabernet Sauvignon wines, and typically with the growths, there's 6 types of grape varietals that you can use: Cabernet, Merlot, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec.
I don't remember the last one.
It will come back to me.
Yeah.
I got 5 out of the 6. Okay, so I'm doing okay. I put the other one on the screen. Right. Yeah. All right. And the other thing about the classification is it really just reflects house style, right?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more like champagne, but there's nothing of a geographic marker to say this part of the Bordeaux has these particular qualities. Like if you go over to Burgundy, you can tell instantly by the name of what's on the bottle what part of Burgundy that wine came from, right?
Well, yeah.
But it also tells you a little bit about the geographic characteristics. This tells you nothing.
No.
Right? So why did I buy it? Because again, I wanted to have some Bordeaux, and so I wanted to be drinking $300 bottles of wine by the time I'm 60, and so I picked it up because I thought that this was, at the time, the type of wine I would want to be drinking then. I would be quite honest here, is that I do enjoy the occasional Bordeaux. I don't think it's worth the money, right? But this is, I've had this one before, it's pretty fine. and you can taste the effort that goes into it, and we'll get to that. But I would encourage people to think twice about when they want to spend money on expensive wine, to think about how they're going to be enjoying it and when they're going to enjoy it. So, vintage champagne ages beautifully.
Oh.
You know, you want to be able, when if you have a kid, 21, open a bottle to celebrate. There's a good reason. You know, if you know, hopefully you don't get divorced and you're in a marriage, you want to go and celebrate a 25th anniversary, buy a case, put it aside, enjoy it then, and so you have a story to talk about your lasting and dying love, or what that relationship may be at that time. So you can see there's a context for expensive wine, right? And I would, but the thing that you started do with this, it's about scarcity, rarity, brand name, but also where the grapes come from. So these are coming from the best areas, and the area is very interesting, right? Did you know that the Dutch drained the left bank to expose the gravel, which this area is noted for?
I believe it, but I did not know it.
Yeah,
sounds like a Dutch thing to do.
Yeah, you know, what are the Dutch good for? They're really good at building dikes.
Yes. Figuratively and literally.
We're not talking about the sex scene in Amsterdam, okay? It's like, all right. And Lynch Bages was one of the original classifications, and you know, the funny thing is, over the years, some of the top ones, and the other one that I also want to bring attention to is the classification almost completely ignores the right bank, right? So you have Saint-Emilion on the right bank,
stunning.
But you have Pomerol, and oddly enough, two of the priciest wines in Bordeaux, and for those fans of sideways out there, Cheval Blanc, and also Chateau Petrus. Are two of the most expensive wines, and they are from the right bank, and they are from that area where there's clay with a bit of iron in it, and gives a very distinctive flavor and brings a lot of age worthiness to the wine.
They're more low forward on the right bank, right?
Right.
Okay.
So again, a little bit of that Merlot snootiness that people experience. You can see how it does translate. That yes, the left bank gets a lot more attention than the left bank, right? But I think it's about time we give this a try.
Oh yeah.
Right? So Pauillac, it is on the left bank. The area here, lovely gravels. It's right near the riverbanks, and they have a saying in Bordeaux: if you can see the riverbanks, that's the best place to grow.
Do you want to talk about the vintage on this wine?
Oh yes, absolutely. So this is a 2009, and I also want to emphasize. That if you go into like Cellar Tracker or some of the other sites that do a lot of evaluation on wines, a lot of people feel that, and you'll see it out there, the 2009, 2010 vintages are highly regarded, okay? And I'm very lucky about that. It's one of the reasons why I did jump on this. But this is most probably one of the first vintages in Bordeaux that really starts to exhibit some of the effects of climate change, right? The grapes.
Now, how would you explain that to our viewers who don't believe in climate change?
All right. So again, there's longitudinal studies out there that are. All right. Longitudinal studies means that they do a reading every year, right? And then they track it over time, so you're able to develop a trend line. All right. So for years, Bordeaux. Absolutely pitch perfect. You're able to get a lot of great juice from good grapes that age predictably, right? One of the things that is happening as a result of climate change, and you'll see it going, and the phenomenon is going from south to the north, is it warms up the more southerly the wine region is, and the northern ones are also warming up as well. So what you're also finding is that the wine regions are moving further north.
Like
So,
the UK.
In the UK. So Canada may become a major.
Oh, yeah.
Buy your land now in northern Canada, okay? Right, you know. But you know, when you go further south, you know, Australia is running out of place to go because, you know, once you hit Tasmania, it's just the Antarctic after that. Same thing in South Africa and also in South America. South America still does some interesting wines, in the but they, like the Southern Hemisphere is mainly ocean.
Yeah.
In the Northern Hemisphere, what you're finding now is Germany are starting to produce a lot more fruitier, fruit-forward wines.
Interesting.
Which they never did before.
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of fun now to actually see that, but the places that are going to get hurt the most are going to be the big brand name areas.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you have some benefit of some sort of predictable, like in Australia, Coonawarra, they have some Antarctic winds that go straight up there.
Oh.
If there has not been, and there's not been any change in the weather pattern, so they are still fairly predictable.
Okay.
Bordeaux, not so much, and you're starting to see some of the effects of it. Loire Valley, starting to see some of the effects of it. But one of the better ones is the Cabernet Franc from Bordeaux, sorry, from the Loire Valley.
Yeah.
They're starting to get just a little juicier, and they are showing wonderful elegance, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing, is that when you start to understand that here you have a Cab Franc component to this wine, and Cab Franc can make some lovely wines on their own, you start to look beyond Bordeaux. Right?
Or we will, I'm sure in the future we'll see more and more Cab Franc in their mix.
Yes,
right?
that's exactly what's going to happen, right? And the house styles will change as a result of climate change. But enough of the geeky stuff. All right. This is the other. I think the other big event was also the Judgment of Paris, right?
Oh,
That was another movie.
90s? 80s?
No, 1976.
Okay.
Right, so they pitted up all the California wines against the
yes.
Bordeaux wines, and the California wines were chosen over the Bordeaux wines, and the French were quite offended. You know, like the actual story on it was quite an insignificant event, but the actual mythology of it has become something greater, right? Sort of like wine and cheese on its own, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyhow, we've been nattering our way on this, and I know we could keep going on this, but we do feel that having a wine like this does lend itself to giving it the full treatment.
Oh gosh, yes.
All right, and we're going to do two interesting things when we are actually going to taste this wine. I pulled out my Vinturi. There you go. And this is an Aerator. Typically, and you could talk to this, Isaac, when you're in a restaurant, tell me what you do with a wine like this.
We would pour it in a decanter and let it breathe. It's because it needs oxygen, it needs help to open up. It's been in here forever.
Right.
Not forever, but a lot more than your typical 2018 wine.
All right.
Yeah.
So when they talk about wines opening up, it's not like we're undressing, okay?
Yeah.
But what it is starting, well, in some regards it is. It's starting to show its physique. It's starting to show its elegance. It's starting to show all the things that the winemaker
wanted to show.
Right? So keep in mind, every time you're having a bottle of wine, you're tasting the culmination of many decisions by a winemaker before it shows up in front of you.
Exactly.
Right? So there's a whole history and a story that goes into this guy. Right? So again, most of the times that they putting these down, Bordeaux is like anytime you get to one of these really premium wine regions, you're always going to get them making the wine to be enjoyed at a later date.
Oh yeah.
I know.
Bordeaux's are released 3 years after they're tasted, right?
Yes.
So to say the least for that.
I'm going to fact check that one too.
Is it not?
Yeah, you know, like there's constant barrel tasting, right?
Yeah.
But typically, most Bordeaux's are usually released about 3 years after, right? Same thing like Spain, because again, they want to make sure that whatever's going on the market hits all the marks and it will drink well.
Yeah.
Right? Again, these guys, their whole livelihood, they've been doing it for centuries. They got the whole science down, right?
Sure do.
All right, so Isaac, let's pour ourselves each. Let's pour it regular on that one, the wine on its own. And I opened this about 2 hours ago, and let's pour it here.
More than that now. It's 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock? Oh my God. So I poured the wine I opened the bottle of wine about 4 hours ago, And
Let me do that one.
I will do this one. So this is what you do with the aerator. So it's basically trying to do what a decanter does by just simply pouring it through this device.
I can already tell the color's different. I cringed at Brian, I'll tell you all, when he told me we were using this. And only because in my head, these aerators have an association of like, oh, mama needs a red and she puts it through from the box through these lovely aerators. That's what in my mind, I have a prejudice against it. I apologize. I want Brian to prove me wrong.
You know what, I would agree with, because again, a lot of people feel if you go and get cheap wine, there's adequate number of people, if you go on YouTube, again, they use their soda stream, get a cheap bottle of Chardonnay, and just aerate the crap out of it, and they make cheap bubbly.
Do they actually?
Yes.
Oh my God.
I know.
Oh.
And there are many out there who claim that, well, you know, like if you're not getting champagne, but you're getting a sparkling wine.
So much wrong with that.
Stop cringing.
Okay,
I hyper decant. You don't hyper decant? You're just doing regular decanting?
Just think, like, if all you can taste is secondhand smoke anyways, I mean, seriously. It tastes like ashes. I wonder why.
But for the purposes of this video, what I want to be able to demonstrate to people is that if you decant your wine, this is what the effect would be. So let's give the wine a sniff. All right. I smell money. I smell a lot of money.
It's rich. It's so rich. I don't think of. I love that about the tobacco's coming on. Oh,
there's tobacco, cigar box.
Yes, that's a
big cigar. You get that little menthol coming up from the Merlot component of it.
I was gonna say some tropical, like woods.
Yes. You know what's evident? All the primary characteristics of Cabernet gone.
Yeah.
There's none of the green peppers, none of that. All right, no. Whew. I know. You could literally keep smelling this, and you keep coming back. A little tobacco.
Yep. There's still a. I get a splash of something fresh, even like a bit of lettuce. Weirdly enough.
Yeah. There's the green element in there. So that's telling you that there's still a bit of youth in this wine.
Oh, well, Brian, you should open at 70.
All right. So Isaac, now let's take a sniff of the one that went through the aerator.
Okay.
Notice the tannins are not as evident.
Yes. So there's gunpowder in this one.
Yep. So all of those secondary and tertiary characteristics, they've been tamed, but they're still there.
Yeah.
There's a lot more fruit in this one.
Mm-hmm. Pepper, black pepper.
Black pepper.
So much black pepper.
Lots of black pepper. So some of those little green elements that you get from Cabernet, they're starting to show up in here, right?
Which is really fun.
That's interesting. So this one, a little bit more robust, a little more hair on the chest.
Yeah, it has the alcohol's still a little on the nose. It's not on this one.
Yeah. This one has gone through a waxing.
Yeah, literally.
Right, so that's how I describe these two. All right, so let's give it a taste now. Okay. We're going first, non-aerated.
Oh, that's superb. It's so acidic still. This could age for what, another 20, 30 years?
I gotta guess another 50 years on that. Like, honestly, this is now 14 years old.
Yeah.
And the acid, the chewiness, the tannins are super fine.
Oh, they are.
Right, but there's still grip. There's a lot of grip, So, acid in terms of the sides of your mouth, like a cascade.
Yeah, literally. Oh,
still going.
It's like a champagne almost in its acid.
Yes, it is. But the flavor of that wine, it's just, it's resonant on your palate, and it is not going anywhere.
That's.
The length on this wine is astounding. So keep in mind that this is some of the best juice of Bordeaux.
Yeah.
Going in this, I also gonna bet there may be a little bit of free run juice. That's the juice that you collect after the weight of the grapes.
Okay.
When you come in from the field, and there's juice at the bottom because they have that ripeness and the weight pushes down.
Yeah.
That is a free run juice.
Okay.
And that is revered by a lot of winemakers. But the thing about this, there's a lot of technique that's gone into this wine.
Yeah.
Right? Like you could tell that the vanilla notes, they've used very fine French oak on this.
Well, do these epic Bordeaux producers, do they source the oak like from the forest themselves, what they want to see? They don't just buy off the market?
No. If they are buying off the market, they're buying off of people they know and trust.
Oh, yeah.
And have a particular type of style that they're looking at. And because of the classification system, what you're looking at is house style. Right? So one of the things that the Bordeaux producers sometimes, and you see this in Champagne too, is, we're going to do a Champagne video at some time, is that the major houses like Moet and Clicquot and whatnot, they try to give you whatever year you buy that Champagne,
same thing.
they want to give you the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Similarly in Bordeaux, the house style is that they aim for a very similar house style. And you can taste here that this house style is wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
It is, there's attention to detail in this wine that when you, we're still talking about it. We could talk about this again, because again, the way that
It could be a 5-part video.
for me, my sweet receptors are still, every once in a while, fires off, right? And I'm gonna guess that there may be a little bit of that petit Verdot there, because there is a little bit of that berry note in there, but it's almost like a little bit like blueberry. It's like that little hint that kind of gives you there, but most of this is still, you're gonna get your cherries, you're gonna get your strawberries, you're gonna get all the things that are typical of this.
And they're all elegant, though.
Elegant. This is elegant beyond belief.
Oh.
All right, let's see how this one tastes. So Aerator wine. Let's see how it tastes.
It's richer.
It's richer.
Oh, I'm really getting the old. Oh,
Tannins are still there.
they are, but
The chew is different.
it's beefier.
Yes.
There's some umami in it.
A lot more umami.
Yeah. Oh.
And there's a lot more stuff going on to the front of the palate. More spiciness.
Yes, it's spicy. It's so spicy. Like wine speaking, but still spectacular.
Spicy and wine speak is not like, it's something that is present, that gives you a tingle and a little bit of a sharp bite.
It's in the sinuses, that black pepper on it. Oh,
All right?
God.
I know. So that's telling you in terms of where this wine is going. This is a wine to go with meat.
Oh, yeah.
This is you get the Chateaubriand.
With your peppercorn sauce.
Yes.
Oh.
This would be a beauty. I will also say over Christmas I picked up a center cut Chateaubriand from Cohen.
Yep.
If ever in Calgary, check out Cohen.
Regina's Fine Meats.
Regina.
Yeah, it's German.
German, okay. Regina's Fine Meats. And he gave me a center cut. Didn't have a lot of marbling because, again,
Tenderloin.
Tenderloin. And the trick to doing a good tenderloin is making sure that you either put a ton of butter on it, all right, which I'm not going to do. But I got from Cohen a piece of beef fat from the flap of the entire loin.
Yeah.
And I used that in the sous vide.
Oh.
And then I used it on the grill.
Yeah.
And then I used it and dumped it in the sauce
Oh.
to bring some beef fat to
some
it.
tallow.
Yeah, some of the tallow elements to it. And it was spectacular with this wine. And I'm tasting this, and this is exactly the experience we had when we had that on Boxing Day. And it was delightful. I just want to keep drinking this wine.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It is lovely. And if ever you have the chance to sample one of the 5th grows or the 4th grows. They are within reach, but if you wanted to make sure that you were able to afford them and you had the patience to do that, look up some Bordeaux futures, be a little patient, and you too will get a bottle of Lynch Bages or something else. And I publish, I put a link below to see what the other growths are. So if you are interested, to go to your wine store to go and pick it up.
So Rothschilds next time?
You know, like again, I don't eat the food that goes with it, and I personally I think there's a lot of really spectacular wines out there for $50 to $80 that would typically be my high point. But I won't lie, if somebody plunked down this in front of me, I will drink it. If somebody gave me a bottle of Grange from Australia, I will drink it.
Yeah.
You know,
We're not monsters. It's only polite.
But you know, in terms of if you want to really expand your palate and get a good wine education, you don't have. It helps to know these and to sample them, so you can understand what a frame of reference is as to these. But you know, look, we're not all multi-millionaires who could go and buy a case of this all the time. And I think that if you do pay attention to Bordeaux, there's a lot of people who are not in the classification system that are making wines as good as this, and most probably 1/3 the price. But it takes a lot of work. Okay, so again, another tip to get a $300 bottle of wine: do your research. All right, but we're not only about wine; we're actually here about a very special cheese.
Well,
And
Brian,
Isaac, that's your cue. I'm just going to drink while you describe.
I was going to say, Phil, at this point, the cheese is just, it's great, don't get me wrong, but compared to this wine, I don't know. This cheese is not from the Bordeaux region. They don't actually produce a lot of cheese. This is from the Alps on the other side of France. But it is a classic to go with this because it's slightly earthy, it's got a little alpine goodness, it's a little sweet, a little funky. And it has this beautiful layer of ash through the middle. So the story goes that this is made in the Jura, where the Comté is made, and well, Vin Jaune and a series of other spectacular things. Yeah, the cheese, everything from that region is spectacular. So after they made these, they were 80-pound wheels, big wheels. Even I, a big man, I struggled to carry them. If they had any curds left over, they just throw the curds in the bottom of a barrel and sprinkle it with ash to keep the flies off of it.
Oh, okay.
So then the next day, the other fresh curds went on top and they pressed the cheese.
Okay.
So that's the tradition, why we have this layer of ash.
Right.
It's this tradition now. It's no longer needed because there's not usually flies allowed in cheese-making facilities.
Right.
You know, maybe as guests, but not allowed to live there anymore. So,
Right.
yeah.
What would be some of the classic cheese pairings that go with the Bordeaux? I know this is one, the Morbier.
I actually, because of Bordeaux's relationship to Rioja, I do recommend Manchegos too.
Right.
I do the younger ones interchangeably.
Right. Epoise?
With the Bordeaux, if you get an aged Bordeaux, yeah. If we actually an aged Bordeaux with Epoisse and this would be cool,
Right.
because the Napoleon III did this classification. Epoisse was Napoleon I's favorite, so
Yes.
that'd be kind of a fun Napoleon dinner.
And again, you kind of think that if Napoleon's enjoying Bordeaux, whoever's going to be making cheese is going to have cheese that goes with Bordeaux.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, at the time you're right. If Emperor enjoyed it, everyone was making something.
So in terms of this is a sheep, cow, or... Okay.
It is a cow.
Okay.
This one would be grass-fed just due to its color,
Right.
because it's slightly more than pale. Wash rind, they come in about six kilo wheels. Yeah, 6 kilo. This is raw milk, and I would stress to anyone looking in the market, always look for raw milk. They're barely a price increase anywhere, and there's some inferior Morbier made outside of the region, which cannot be called Morbier, but they call it something similar, and it's still okay, but for a few dollars more a kilo, this is much better, and you'll be a happier camper.
And I would readily admit is I stumbled across this pairing because we didn't learn this one when I was doing my WSET. And because again, they tried to stay a lot more regional, but Isaac did recommend this to me a while back, and ever since I've had it with Bordeaux, I can't not have it. All right. And I want to just also stress, I don't drink a lot of Bordeaux because given how I eat and my level of consumption of alcohol, Bordeaux to me is a special treat.
As it should be, especially considering your cellar, Brian.
Yes.
You drink.
I know, there'll be a few other surprises coming out of the cellar. Let's get into the cheese, all right? Oh my word.
Oh yeah, earthy. It's been sitting out for 4 hours as it should be.
You know, okay, I'm gonna say this, a little bit of armpit in there.
Yep. They just do. Wash wine just do.
Wash there, but it's also a little nuttiness.
It's actually getting a little like Parmesan too.
Yes.
Actually, that might just be mold.
Yeah, well, it could be a bit of mold, but it's also, you know, the cheese does age on its own.
Yep. Shall we?
All right, give it a taste. Oh yeah. Nutty, creamy.
I'm getting a lot of like a really toasted cracker with a lot of whole grains in it.
Yeah. I can see that. Yep.
I just want some rind for myself to try it.
So do you typically eat the rind on this?
Any washed rind, I recommend it.
Okay.
Oh, a good bit of that grittiness. Really funky, sour. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, the sourness really does come through, but it actually brings a lot more of that kind of grassy element to the wine, as to the cheese. Sorry, and yeah, I never had the rind. I usually cut it off.
Oh, well.
I feel like a heathen. Yeah.
You normally pour out 20% of your Bordeaux? Ayo! No, and I will stress this, so sometimes rinds are scary, but if your cheese expert is recommending it, just try it, because eventually you'll get a taste for it, and it will be your favorite part.
It is spectacular. It really is. This is a cheese that, I'm trying to think like what the texture would be. All right, I'm gonna be real crass here. If you got a really good like ball of mozzarella.
Just seriously, it's mozzarella. I was going to say that too.
Yeah, the texture is like mozzarella.
Yeah.
But the flavor is so much more than mozzarella.
Oh gosh, there's
primary flavors that you get of a lot of the aging of kind of like the buttery nuts.
It's really herbaceous too.
Very, yep. Got a little bit of sage in there too. Yeah. And yeah, no, it's a complex cheese. Fantastic. All right. Now,
the best part.
Let's give it a go with the what do you call it? Unaerated wine.
Okay.
Okay. Oh my word.
Now it's like a spoonful of cherry jam, just like red cherry jam.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh.
It's like somebody took a big spoon, swilled in there.
Ooh, and then the finish is bringing out the grass, the earth, the richness.
It's like you tasting the history of this cheese.
Huh. Yeah.
It's like somebody said, by the way, here's a Viewmaster. Just sip this wine with this cheese, and you can see, oh, there are the cows. Oh, there are the cows grazing in the field. Oh, there's the cows coming in to get milked.
The Call of the Cows. Like,
Call of the Cows.
What was it, Puccini's opera? Rossini's opera.
Yeah. Rossini is originally from Pesaro.
Seriously?
Yeah, on the coast closer to Croatia.
Oh, well, there you have it.
I know, odd little fact I know.
I just know because he wrote his operas young, and then he lived out the rest of his life entertaining, drinking great wine, and partying.
What a great life.
Oh, absolutely. Went to every restaurant. He was the talk of the town because he was Rossini.
Yeah, so Rossini is another word for residuals.
We have to do a Rossini video.
And,
Done.
And Italians, please do not.
Yeah, I know.
We're having a bit of fun with you, okay? Yeah. All right, let's see how this cheese now goes with the. I'm going to cut that piece in half. Because I want to get a little bit of the
rind, yes.
Rind, and I want to get a little bit of the ash. And now we're going to try it with the aerated wine and see if the experience is any different. Lovely cheese.
Okay, I'm getting smoky umami meat from the rind and the wine because I think they're bringing out that in each other.
Are you getting a sweet element to it too?
Oh gosh, yeah. This also everything's been perfectly balanced, like you wouldn't even believe. So
this is incredibly well balanced.
Yeah.
Both pairings, but this one is different because the tannins are not as aggressive.
No, the tannins
and they don't have to fight with the fat or embrace the
Yes, they do. They sure
They
do.
really do embrace the fat, right? Because again, anytime you're having a fatty meal, the tannins are there to actually get softened by the fat and to tame the fat and to benefit off of it. But with this one, very harmonious, both pairings, but they are different.
They are. They're good showings both ways though too, because sometimes some, are much better than others. But I'm really quite happy with both with the pairing.
I would say though that if I were to think about this more strategically in terms of the level of enjoyment, and if you are going to have a meal with this, open up the bottle and have the cheese first, because by the time it gets to a little bit more oxygen, it will be better with the meat, right?
Of course.
Because I'm tasting this here.
Which is also sacrilegious to the French. Apologies, France. Cheese goes after entree.
Yeah, but with this one, I can see the cheese working just slightly better and giving a more interesting narrative off of this, off of the one that's non-aerated. While the aerated one is like keep bringing on food of every type, right? Whereas that one,
You could do an entire meal with just the different levels of how it's opened up.
Yes.
You could plan that. That'd be so neat for a vintage Bordeaux.
Yes. And actually, if you were to have 2 bottles, that's why you buy a case when you are going to decide to do one of these, right?
When you do your futures, everyone.
Yeah, but look, I would. It's a spectacular wine.
Oh gosh,
there's no doubt about this, right? And this thing is going to evolve over the course of the day. I did. Well, I know leftover wine. What's that, right? But I did put aside a little bit the last time at Christmas because I did open 2 bottles.
Okay.
And I had some the following day, and it was pitch perfect, spectacular. You see, that's the other thing too, is when you are buying this wine with this level of care and attention, it could last longer after it's been opened up, right? And actually, some of these wines, another one is a good example, champagne, a good vintage champagne sometimes tastes better the next day, right?
This is bananas to me.
I know, it's weird, like a bottle of champagne going to the next day. This is another one that I know that most probably never make it to the next day.
Yeah.
But if you did and you wanted to be greedy and open a bottle for yourself and not tell anybody, which is totally legitimate, okay?
Well, don't call it greedy. It's about what kind of company you're having.
No,
right?
it's called self-care.
That's true.
All right? This is really, at some point, like I know in a previous video I did talk about Château Beaucastel, but Château Beaucastel at when it's getting up to $150, it's still attainable. Getting into the $300 range, it's not as attainable.
It's not an everyday wine.
It's not an everyday wine, but if you are able to work the futures and know that this at some point will triple in price, please go forth and do that. And come with the weird snooty story about how you completely forgot about the case and the I know, it's a wealth of entitlement, what can I say?
Lovey, I was just going to the cellar and I found this old crab.
All right, so if you were to think about this wine, all right, movie, TV show, place that you are, what would be the best analogy that you could think?
I think we're talking like an MGM classic.
Okay.
Really rich, and it's been around and it just gets better. Like Singing in the Rain.
Okay.
It has a big, bold opening overture and it does nothing but please throughout the entire show.
Okay.
And you're just sitting there with joy and giddiness.
All right.
Yeah, that would be it for me.
I'm going to go Moulin Rouge.
Okay. A modern classic.
A modern classic, because I feel that this is a bit more modern style of Bordeaux.
Yes.
Right, because again, it is a little juicier than what you typically get for what you'd expect, right? And Moulin Rouge, a beautiful interpretation. I loved it, but he brought all the anachronistic elements to it, and this is like a time capsule here. that is telling you again, the time capsule of it gave you that Viewmaster of that cheese.
Yes, the Viewmaster.
You know, this is like a little crystal ball in terms of telling you about time.
Yeah.
It is. You know, and you're like, tell me you can't see the future in this. You can see.
Well, 50 years down the road,
right?
Actually.
You can imagine what this wine tastes like 50 years from now. I wouldn't be alive in 50 years from now, but you can see what this wine evolves.
If it is, we'll put it on your drip on your IV. I'll do that for you, Brian.
Thank you. You know what? I'm going to put that in my advanced care directive.
Yeah.
All right. But you know, because we got the 2 data points of what it tastes like with more oxygen and with less oxygen, it gives you an indication of where the wine is going to go, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Right. And okay, let's do the obnoxious thing here. We're going to have a little sip. In both glasses.
Oh, I already drank.
He's finished water right.
Oh, come on, how can I?
Please. Right. I'm gonna go first. Oh, can I do 2? No.
Don't spill a drop.
No, you see again, we could go and do all of the big old hip hop type excess here, but at the end of the day, you just really want to enjoy the wine.
Yeah, this is great wine to have with one person you care about.
Yeah.
And just enjoy it throughout the entire evening, and you'll just have a very magical time.
Yeah. This is, you open it at lunch.
Yeah.
And then, by about mid-afternoon.
Getting there, and then by 9 o'clock, every last sip will just be savored so much because of how it opened up.
And that will be a wonderful experience. Okay, folks. Thanks again for watching. I'm glad you stayed and watched this whole episode. We really appreciate it. And if you like what you're seeing, hit the like button. Please subscribe. We appreciate every bit of your support, and it keeps us going. And we hope that you take some of the ideas that we've shared here, incorporate into your wine tasting, and for you to go out there and taste the world. Cheers.